Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode. How are you ladies doing today?
Good. You have on the sexy voice, boy.
Oh, back now. Thank you,
You know, I always
Terry.
got to fight the power voice. Yeah, the militant voice.
Wow.
How are you doing?
Hello,
Lisa?
everyone. I'm doing fabulous. Thank you.
We know how Terry's doing, ladies and gentlemen.
We do. Terry is on 105 as usual.
Yes, she
That's
is.
the passion. That is all passion. That's
And we
all.
love it. We love it. We welcome it. But talking about fighting the power, we're going to jump right into our episode, which is passing the baton. And we're going to talk about Black History Month, talk about a little bit what that perspective is from our point of view.
Sakafet, you're listening to Unfiltered Lyman with BLT. Every week, we will reflect on our journeys on trying to navigate between our parents' traditional culture versus American culture. We are your hosts,
Bertide,
Lisa,
And Terry.
No one's talking, so let's get unfiltered.
talk about Black History Month. From my perspective, I'll start of what that means or what I've perceived it to be or what I understand it to be from being of Caribbean and also, being raised here in America. Black History Month and passing this baton, this Black, history baton, to me, going to school here, I did not feel, in my perspective, that was such a strong such a strong example of passing the baton. You learn the same thing, I feel like, every February in Black History Month. And I feel like there's so much other perspective when it comes to Black history that now, I feel like in today's century, the kids have a little bit more that they're learning from my perspective about Black history from when I grew up. And I also know, being of, Haitian descent, Haitians have a lot of history also, and not only their, history as being the first Black, independent nation, but also in helping some of the movement, the civil rights movement, with the, the injustice that was happening in the United States. And I think a lot of times we don't look at, from my perspective, I don't feel like the big picture when it came to our history as a people was really conveyed, or when I was growing up, or talked about in my household as an adult. I have more of those conversations now because I understand a little bit more about who I am. And
So, B, let me just ask a question, and I'm just jumping in right here.
Go ahead.
So, in your household, did your parents or the elders speak about the culture? They never spoke about that in your household, about how they lived or what happened, or was any of that part of conversation?
I would have to say directly in my household, like my mom and my dad, no, they did not. And I don't know if it's because, again, coming to America, you understand what I mean? Like, there's the mindset is now that they're in America, maybe, but I know certain other family members and other Haitians that I would be around, they would talk about it. And they would be like, talk about their leaders, Toussaint Louverture and all those people that fought for the Haitian independence and those people. But inside, directly in my household, no, they didn't talk about it. It wasn't until later, until I met one of my aunts. She's my mom's older sister. She talks about that history a lot more, and she's more open because to talk about, how it was, how proud she is of, the things that happened and how it came about. So no, not with my mom and dad, unfortunately. And I think that was probably one of the main reasons I feel like I didn't really know that there was a baton. I You know what I mean? If nobody's talking about it, you don't know that there's a baton that needs to be passed, or there's a baton that you need, you know what I mean? So now I know that there's a baton that needs to be passed because I have a son, you know what I mean? So I want him to know. So I'm doing my due diligence to make sure that I'm doing all I can and have the conversation, so that way I could, wherever that baton was left or not left, you know what I'm saying, that I'm picking it up and I'm saying, okay, even though it wasn't properly passed on to me for whatever reason, because I haven't had that conversation with my mom as to maybe why her mindset was or why she didn't, you know what I mean? Because until you have the conversation, you don't know why people do or don't do certain things. But for me, I'm more aware to know that, okay, my son and the next generation needs to know, like, hey, there's a baton here and let's, pick it up, run with it, do what we need to do.
Do you think that them being here in America, that they were not proud to be Haitians? And I'm just asking the question. And the reason why I asked that specific question is because I know that growing up, a lot of Haitians didn't come out and wasn't like, yeah, I'm Haitian, because they got such a bad rap for whatever the reason is. That's why I'm asking, do you think that maybe they didn't say too much because maybe they didn't feel, proud, or maybe they didn't know, or what was your thought
My
process?
perspective. So I feel older Haitians, they didn't care. So I don't feel like that was not proud, but I feel like, I think we've talked about it on the show before. When you come to America, you put your head down and you work, right? You're trying to, whatever the goal is, you're working, you're sending money back home. So I don't feel like their maybe focus was as much on that history, because it's their history. So they learn it. I feel like when they're in Haiti, and talking to my cousin that went to school there, they learn about their history. Like, they memorize it, they learn about it, but it's like an ongoing thing. It's not like, first of all, 1 month and they're not learning. They're learning about the whole history of Haiti, because that's, you know what I'm saying? But again, goes back to Haiti, like, that's their homeland, right? So they have a history to learn, like, they're home learning about their own history. And maybe that's a question for us to answer. Is it because this is not our home, technically, America, we came in as slaves, that our history is different? Because I have friends that are from Africa and from other places. They know their history because they were raised in their country of birth, right, of origin, where it's passed down. So I don't know, maybe that could be the case. Maybe if I was born in Haiti, you know what I'm saying, and was raised, maybe they would be more open, or I would have learned about it. Maybe that's the case. But I don't think I don't believe it's not because they were not proud. I just think it was because, hey, we're here in America, land of opportunity. I'm gonna keep my head down, work. You're here to make your life better. We're providing you with this opportunity, so that's what we're gonna focus on. And maybe they didn't know about, that it was important that there was a baton, you know what I'm saying, going back to the baton, that it was important for them to continue, even though they're in America, to continue that side, the conversation, I guess.
I think you're absolutely correct. And then we also have to keep in mind, too, with American history has many facets to it, number one. But Black History Month really is African American History Month. That's what that is. And it's 1 month out of a whole entire year. And then I think your upbringing has a lot to do with it. Again, in my household, we didn't talk about the African American history. Our parents were telling us about history of Dominica, because that's what they know. Because back in their country, it wasn't just 1 month, Dominican History Month. They learned it all year round. Number one. Number two, for me, I went to an all-white high school, so they're going to teach you very surface level things about African American history. For example, Madam C.J. Walker, which actually I don't even think they really harp too much on it.
No.
I think, of course, I feel like everybody talks about Martin Luther King. That's it. I don't think they talked about Malcolm X. They talked about George Washington Carver, you know, because he made so many products from peanuts, like over 300 products from peanuts.
Booker
It was
T.
very,
Booker T. Washington.
Yep. And I think it was very surface level. You know what I mean? It's not until we got older and we're ourselves taking the initiative, picking up the baton and being like, hey, I want to learn a little bit more about the African American history. I live here. I was born here. Let me learn and understand the struggles of the African Americans that are here, right? So at that point, I feel like we're picking up the baton on our own. It wasn't in our home that the baton was passed to us.
You're absolutely right.
African American history. I just want to be very clear on that, because you could say they did pass the baton on our home country's history. You could say that, but as far as African American, no. So moving forward, yes, we need to educate the younger generation. And, you know, the beautiful thing about Google now is that no one has no excuse for not knowing what your history is. Where back when we were younger, we had encyclopedias. And did you guys have that?
And if I need our fan, if people know what that is, please comment if you know what that is.
Remember, you come in the big box.
But wait a minute, it wasn't just you didn't buy it at the store. It was a salesman that came to your house, you know, to sell you these encyclopedias, and everybody had the encyclopedias from A to Z. Okay, and it was a hard cover, each one of them. So yes.
And then you had to switch them out after a couple of years, because I remember, I think when I was younger it was red, but then when I got older it was blue. It was a blue hardcover.
Every household had that.
Or if you did it in the library, public library, that's why
public library.
Yes.
But again, that's paper and it's printed. It's only surface levels, whereas Google, more information. And I think also too, it's a beautiful thing with the movement from 2020 and all the facets of 2020 is that it also caused people to go and dig a little deeper and learn a little bit more, and not just take face value what someone tells you about African American history, to really truly understand the struggle. So
basically they told us coming up what they wanted us to know, to limit us from the information that was already out there. Because if you look on Google, and if you go on Google or Wikipedia and all that up to get information on it, it gives you the depth of, you know, so many things that we as Black, brown people, we have been the first for, that they do not and will not give us credit for. However, these people that are in the forefront, prime example, like a Malcolm X or a Martin Luther King, or like you said, George Carver. Am I saying his name right? No, Washington Carver. I'm sorry. Did I say his name right?
George Washington Carver.
George Washington Carver. Correct. So just with that, they put them on the forefront for us to be like, oh my God, all right, so we have somebody in our corner. Whereas it's a laundry list of things and people who have been the first to do things that they are not giving credit for. And we must make sure that the generation behind us coming up know that. And like you said, Lisa, to your point, which is a great thing, yes, I'm glad that we have the information available to us, that we could be able to look and dig and seek and confirm. That is the word, to confirm confirm all that we have done and all that we will continue to do.
Exactly. Got to pass that baton.
That's right. That's definitely right. So I know for in the Trinidad and Tobago, you know, I have to get that little...
ping, 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 ping.
Thank you, Bertine. See, I love she's feeding into my foolishness. But as for the Trinidad and Tobago culture, my mother, she stand up on her hind legs for Trinidad. She ride for that. My family are very, very proud people of the Trinidad culture. And whatever information that they know, they definitely have passed it on, whether it's food, because what she did tell me was that they produce large oil something. I can't, I don't want to say it wrong and then somebody come back and say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. But yes, it has something to do with oil. That's what I know. But I think it's a large oil manufacturer or something like that.
In Trinidad?
Yes.
Wow.
So those are things that I didn't know. And I was like, wow. And it's a proud thing when you come from someplace to be able to, it's a badge of honor that you could say those things. So we need to be able to continue, and then I'm finding out that Christopher Columbus, came and he discovered Trinidad.
That guy.
Exactly. And it had
That
about
guy.
40,000 people on there. So I'm saying to myself, if there's 40,000 people on there already, and how you discovered it,
That's $1 million question.
So
We still asking. We still
exactly.
asking.
And then he gave the name, to Trinidad, which was the larger island, in honor of the Holy Trinity. So yes, that's part of that's what was that's in the history. However, how are you going to be proud that you came see again is white people trying to snatch up and say, oh, I did it. And there's 40,000 people. It wasn't like 5 people, and you say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna stand up and give us a name, or let's come together and say, okay, anybody got any ideas for names? No, 40,000 people. Somebody was there first, and they was probably living good, and he come and disrupt the flow.
Oh yeah, of course.
But here we are today, and even see as the big truck passing, that is a signal that what I telling is truth. Boop, 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 boop. Wanted to put that out there.
But just to piggyback on what you said, yes, you're right. The Trinidad and Tobago is the largest oil and natural gas producer in the Caribbean.
See, big truck coming down. See, that's how whenever I just speak the truth and he's coming down. Yes, if you don't come down, sometimes you're a little slow, but big truck coming.
But it's always gonna come. So since Sarah opened up the door, I'm gonna walk right through it. Unfiltered. So this is again my opinion, my perspective. Don't nobody come after me because you're not gonna find me anyway. So how I feel is like, Terry, you brought it up. Like, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be shocked about what you said about Trinidad being one of the largest oil manufacturers. And I feel like if you look at a lot of the Black Islands, West Indies Island, Africa, all those, there's a lot of resources, right? And they per se, like you said, Christopher Columbus, and they, as people now, they invest in our islands. They invest in our countries. And you have to wonder sometimes why. We don't, again, goes back to I feel like also the part about passing the baton, I feel like they've also kind of like put this negative picture for us to let go of the baton, to not make that baton so important, but yet they know the importance of our baton, right? So it's like they're investing and they're using the natural gases or whatever natural resources of the island. And it's like, but we don't know. Like, they know more about our history sometimes. And like you said, they only give us the surface level because then they're reselling it to us. So then it's like we're using like all the stuff that's out there. It's like our own stuff that we're buying because they're feeding it to us. So we're not taking the time to kind of like, wait a minute. That came from Haiti. That came from Trinidad. That came from, so why am I buying my own? Like, why are you selling me my own stuff? Like these investors, even if you think about African-American history, they were the first to do XYZ, right? But the thing is, like, they're selling it to us. Like, that's their stuff. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy to me. Like, they're selling us our own dreamland. And it's like, wait a minute. No, if you really put everything that we've done, we should have more power and wealth, and like we should be like, damn, like.
That's why if you keep your finger down on the people, you only put your finger down on people and things that you fear, correct? So they instill that in us to keep us at bay because they really know we're kings and queens, scientists, brilliant.
But see, these things, but to speak to what you said, Bertie, these natural resources that we have, the reason why we don't think it's like a oh wow thing is because it's like we have it's in the backyard, so we can pick it, grow it, pump it, whatever, and we have it. So when they come and they see it, it's like gold to them. So what they do is they wrap it up in a bowl now and make it pretty. And that's how they serve it back up and say, "Oh, look at how pretty this is," and stuff like that. I'll sell it back to you, you know. So of course, when you
But that's my point, Terry. If we know that they're selling, like you just said, we know that that's our resources. Why the hell we buying it from them? Is my question. Like, if you coming to me, you went to my backyard and stole something from me. I know you came in my backyard. You the thief. I'm looking for you. And I see you stepping up to my door and I know you done stole something from me. I'm taking my shotgun after you. What the hell you coming over here? You understand what I'm saying? Like,
because I think that they play it down for us. So if I tell you, you know something, Lisa, you know something, that ain't all that. But in the back of their head, they calculating and saying, oh shit, this is something good here. I could take it. Okay, so then that's when they take it. You know what? Let me lighten your load and I'll take that off your hand. You don't need that. So once I take that and, like I said, put it in a nice packaging and stuff like that, they selling it back. But then when sometimes we are so ignorant that we don't stop and say, but wait. And I'm saying it the Trinidad side, but wait. You know, this is my stuff. You selling it back to me. We purchase it. We pay top dollar for it. It's like we get in this bubbly state, you know, where we ain't thinking. So again, that puts us back, that pushes us back there. And like I said, in the history, we made it. We made it. So there you have it right there. What happened, Lisa? Because I see you perking up to say something.
No, I'm just saying that it goes back to where I've said in previous episodes is that we have to buy black.
But we have to stand just like Jill said, we have to stand strong in what we have and in our truth. We have something, we need to be able to expound on it, and we have to make sure that, you know, we get it out within our community and, you know, keep circulating again. Buy the black, buy the black.
Keep the money in the community. Keep the money in the community.
And the other thing, too, I want to point out, because I feel like this ties in to what you all just said into our podcast. And I'm going to articulate this the best that I can without getting emotional. Is the fact that it goes back to, you have to be able to be open and receptive to each other. You cannot be prejudiced. You cannot have the mindset like, oh, we the best, right? And like you over here on your own. So why I say that is because a lot of times, they'll make people think Haiti is like crap. They make you think Africa is like crap. They make you think all these West Indies, like they're unruly. They can't govern themselves. They're poor. They're this and they're that. But yet, most of the resources that are out there are from these places, right? Or from these countries. So how can we be so unruly, so undisciplined, so crap, you know what I'm saying, as people and as a nation, but you're coming to invest? Like, I want really Black people to understand that. Caucasian folks or anybody, if you're in business that you invest, you never invest in something if it's crap. You're not going there to invest if it's crap. So the thing about it is, when somebody comes up to me and it's like, well, Haiti, you know, y'all really poor, or Africa, they got AIDS, they got this, really? But then they're investing. They're going, like, they're not scared of getting malaria for what they believe they're going to get a profit out of. So we sitting there paying all this money, all these things. Like, I was listening to something on Instagram that said, like, on Christmas Day, after Christmas Day, Black Friday in Philadelphia alone, Black folks will spend billions of dollars, right, on Black Friday. And then we want to complain that we don't have the right school, we don't have this in our neighborhood, but then Black Friday, just in Philadelphia alone, we're spending billions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just mind-boggling to me how the money we spend on things that are so materialistic, you know what I'm saying? Instead of building, because we have the money. We have the wealth. I'm talking just like outside of America as well. Because the thing about it is, if you really go down to the origin, all right, we were brought here as slaves, right? African Americans were. So the thing is, your origin, like your wealth, like do your research, Lisa, like you always say in your history, to find out where you're coming from, so you could have a sense of identity. So you could also know, okay, this is my identity. All right. So how do I perceive my identity, and how do I move forward with my identity and be proud of my identity and know that, okay, I'm going to do things differently. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm making sense of what I'm saying, but I just feel like as a history of a people, there's so much out there. And yeah, it's something, sometimes it's sad to think about.
Just like if you notice the Jewish people, if you know the story of the Rockefellers and how they became where they are,
The oil, yep.
What they did is they kept everything in the family, all the lineage, everything, it was in the family. So first cousin was marrying third cousins because they wanted to keep it in the family. Okay? So why do you think they look at them? They have a street named after them, and they
have a plaza.
Okay, so that mindset right there, they kept it together. The question is, why can't we do that?
We can do the same. We can, and I feel like we have at some point, but then we're allowed to be infiltrated. And we have to do a better job of communicating, educating one another, and sticking together.
And protecting
one another. Yeah, you're right. Protecting one another.
And not being afraid. I feel like you said, Lisa, like I feel like we're afraid of a minority. And I understand why, right? I understand why that is, because again, we don't have. So going to Terry's point, I feel like the difference is also with the Jewish is that they also have control in government. They have control in policies and schools, and like, not trying to be funny, but I know down here in the South, they're celebrating their holidays and sometimes schools close down. Like,
they're closed up north too.
But the thing about protecting each other is the fact, like, going back in history, what was this street or somewhere where they had the businesses back in the day? And then
Tulsa?
Yes.
Oklahoma?
Right? We were thriving, and then they got upset, right? And they burned. But my thing is, if all of us had stuck together and say, oh, wait a minute, hell no, y'all not coming in here. Like, how do you come in and burn a whole, you understand what I'm saying? Because we were afraid.
So why is it that so when the Jewish band together and do stuff to elevate themselves, why nobody don't come and does mess up their flow? Because you know why? They stick together and they make sure they protect each other. But we don't do that. It's like it's the divide and conquer.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something also too. What's my favorite saying? You bubble quietly. And I think that's the difference with the Jewish people also too. The African American culture, it's rooted, it's historical, for where, you make a little bit of money and you have to show off. You buy the fancy cars and all of that.
Talk about it.
You're living in the projects, but you got the Benz and the Porsche outside. You got the gold chains and you got the necklace.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? All of that, right? Popping bottles.
Lisa's preaching. Yes. Keep talk about it.
Yeah, and the problem is that instead of taking that money to just showboat, you need to take that money and reinvest it in community, in your education, and in your children. That's the difference between African American culture and other cultures. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not only the Jewish cultures also as well. Arabs as well, Middle Eastern, they're over here too. And they're over here building their businesses.
Chinese American,
yes, they're over here. Yep, they're building their businesses, and they're passing it down in their families. All right, so it's not only them, but for us, African American, there was something there. There was a disconnect somewhere.
But let me ask you this: do you think it's a sense of, and I'm just throwing it out there, I could be totally wrong, I'm already setting myself up. Is it jealousy amongst ourselves?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Because look at LeBron James. LeBron James is a great example of what he's doing, right? With the school that he, opened up a school and he's investing, but he's not a showboat unless he has to, you understand what I'm saying? But the thing is, I remember when he was coming out with the school, there was a lot of things said about him. I mean, there's times where there are those leaders in the community, they do something and automatically, like, our people, I'm not talking about other people, but they start some of the comments like, oh, who he think he better than us, or you know what I'm saying? They start like saying stuff. So why do you think that is that we have this jealousy amongst ourselves, ladies?
Because it is embedded in us. Because especially, it's the jealousy, especially with, if you look at it with the color, it is the light skin versus the dark skin. Why is that? It is the people with the hair, wavy, as opposed to somebody who their hair tightly coiled. Why is that? That doesn't mean that you're better than me. Okay? Your hair just does something different than mine. And that's okay. We could learn from that. Oh, all right then. Well, I use this to do, but it is embedded in it. It's divide and conquer.
What do you think? Go ahead. Sorry.
They came in to divide and conquer because something, we was living too good. We was living too good, and they wanted to divide and they wanted to conquer us. Lisa, go ahead. I see you poking up your lips. Go ahead.
No, I didn't have anything else to say. I'm just agreeing with everything. I mean, at 2020 was another wake-up call for everyone. Like, listen, we got to do things differently. We have to do things differently moving forward. We can't do anything about the past as far as choices that were made. We can't do anything. We could do is move forward. We're picking up the baton right now and running with it, and then passing it on to the younger generations, right? So the things, the call to action of things that we can do with passing this baton, right? Or when we pick up this baton, what do we do when we have it in our hand? Number one, like I've said, you have to buy Black. Number two, you have to educate yourself. Number three, we need to open more businesses. And number four, we need to reinvest in Black-owned businesses. And number five, we need to support one another. Number six, I mean, I could keep going here. Yeah, stop me anytime.
Number six, they need to read Black Fortunes by Shamari Wills. That is a very good book. Black Fortunes. That's number six. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to make to your point of divide and conquer, about it. I mean, it was done in history with Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, that's a perfect example of how they had the same goals as far as, wanting to, make some changes for colored folks. And look how that turned out. And why is that? You know what I'm saying? Again,
divide and conquer. They pit them against each other.
They sure did.
So this is the reason why they was always like this. But they did have a lot of similarities also that they did believe in. They both fought for civil rights, and they believed in that. Both of them, they went to jail. They sat in jail, and it wasn't even like they were in there with a tin cup and saying, "Warden, warden." They knew that they, with being leaders, that is going to come. So they went in peacefully, did what they needed to do, and then they came out. Both of them wanted justice and equality for African Americans, and they were powerful orators. And the funny thing is, they both were 39 when they died. Isn't that?
That is amazing. Like, that's unbelievable to me.
That is.
But the other thing I have to say, in this research, Lisa, thank you, is that their wives were both educated.
And strong Black women, very strong. Because after they passed on, they were able to take that baton and keep on going.
Exactly my point where I was going with that. Yep. The legacy still kept.
Yeah. One thing that I knew was huge too, like they both helped pass laws. Now, I think Martin Luther King Jr., I did hear about that, but I had no idea about Malcolm X.
Yeah.
Helping to pass laws like that. No, I had no idea about that. But it's just, I guess their styles were different. Their styles were very different, but they had the same message.
Of course.
You know, but you have to look.
But look at where they came from, because with Martin Luther King, he came from a middle class Christian background where his father was a pastor. So he came from that, more calm, whereas Malcolm
like the Christian background, like that Christian, like turn the other cheek and all, like it made sense why he did peaceful protest, because like, love your enemies and all that good stuff.
Exactly, but
not Malcolm X.
No, here's the thing though. No, but with Malcolm X, his father was a pastor and he used to go to the different towns. However, the father was very outspoken. So he wasn't backing down. And, the white people did not like that. So that's why they used to be coming after him all the time. So when Malcolm was 6 years old, he saw, his father was murdered. And his mother now had to raise all these kids. And another fun fact, though, if you read too, his mother was of West Indian descent. Yes.
Wow.
Yes, from Grenada. So she was half Black, half white. And she was not too happy with being the white part of her. But when you're born, it is what it is. You can't change that.
Wow, that's pretty amazing though, because normally people embrace the white part, because back in the day it would have been easier for her to embrace.
That is correct.
Wow. And then also the father was killed by a white man, so I don't know, was her anger previous to that or was it after?
That's a good question. That is a good question. Not sure about that one, but that's a good question. But
you know what's amazing, I want to point out, is the fact that this is a great example of, like you said, divide and conquer, right? But at the same time, understanding that at the end they did come together, because I think they realized, like, wait a minute, we're trying to do the same thing and we're not going to let people. And I feel like at the end of the day, as a people, that's what we need to do. Understand that our differences, right, bring us, like, our upbringing, like what our purpose is to do, who we are as a people, no matter what your background was, is good to, it's going to be spoken to that particular group of people, right? So then what do you do with that? You have to be able to embrace a person that's different from you so you accomplish the goal. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
That you have to come, because I think, like, sometimes, like you said, they're only able to divide and conquer because we don't understand, like, hey, you're different, I'm different, and that's okay. I accept your differences, because then when somebody's trying to come for you or trying to divide and conquer, I have to be like, oh no, back up, because I already know that, so there ain't nothing that you coming to me with, because I already know that. You understand what I mean? Like, it's not strange, and maybe, I don't know how you feel about that, but that's my take on that.
Yeah. And later that week, but in history, they write the books the way that they want to write the books.
Yeah, and the other thing too, because I've heard, and again in learning this, is to understand why, right? So some historian, right? So if you look at something and you're an historian, right? Because being an historian is an actual job. These people write books. So you have two perspectives. You can have an historian that's like, whoa, this is messed up. I'm going to highlight that this is messed up. There was Indian here. We Americans came in and killed these people. Like, that's not right. I'm going to fight. And they're going to give that perspective. But then you'll have an historian that's like, no, this is the land of the proud and the free. Like, I don't want no, bad light shining on America. So no, we came, like, you know what I'm saying? We conquered. All these people were like savages and blah. You understand what I'm saying? But that's two different perspectives, because again, some people are proud Americans. They don't want, like, oh, we did this. I don't know. I don't want us to look at the bad side of what we did. You know what I'm saying? And it's actually a thing, and when you listen to like Native Americans talk about Thanksgiving, which was another thing like around Thanksgiving that I didn't know. They talked about the reason how Thanksgiving came to be. And it's sad. So moving forward, I'm not going to celebrate Thanksgiving anymore, only because they were saying when the Caucasian folks were killing them, when they killed them, that's why they called it Thanksgiving, is because they were killing them. Every time they killed these chief or these tribal people, that's why they said, oh, it's Thanksgiving. So they celebrated the fact that they were killing these people, and now it became Thanksgiving. And I'm like, okay, I'm no longer, I'm sorry, gonna celebrate that, because it's just like, you know what I mean? Like you're I don't know if I'm making sense, but to me, it's like, I didn't know that. I knew it was messed up, but like, just to hear them talk about their ancestors, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And just like how it came to be, it's just sad. I just never heard this before, and I was just like, oh, that's horrible. I don't want that. Because you know what I mean? You wouldn't, I don't know. It just made me
feel like you're celebrating death.
Exactly.
Yeah, you feel like that. Yeah. But I understand.
Yeah.
But that's all part of history, right? We have to continue to do the research, to read. We have to read different perspectives and then come up with our own conclusions, right?
And make the change. So, right.
And then make the change, yeah.
Right. Because I think a lot of times, too, as people, we can say, okay, I know that this was wrong, but I'm still going to do what I want to do, right? So it's like, and I'm not telling people do what you want to do, celebrate what you want to celebrate. But at the same time, I feel like sometimes you have to draw the line to say, I'm no longer going to contribute to like this behavior because the foundation of it is not right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm no longer going to support this because this is actually how it came about. So I'm no longer going to be, and sometimes that's harder for us to do as a people, just because we get into like, oh, well, I know it's wrong, but I'm comfortable. I don't want to like push, you know what I mean? I don't want to like push the boundaries too much because I don't want to be called out, or I don't want to be like, okay, well, everybody's doing it. I'm the only lone wolf and all this other stuff. So sometimes I think it's hard. Yeah,
but in this day and age, what did Bob Marley said? You got to stand up for your rights. You know what I mean? You got to stand up for what you believe. And because if you don't stand up for what you believe, you're liable to fall for anything, right? So
that is correct.
You have to be confident in your decision and how you feel. And you just have to, and I think there's some progress, because I think there's some holidays that they're changing now. Like one of them is Columbus Day.
Oh, yeah. It's no longer a national.
Yeah.
That, so, and interject what, let's even talk about the Christmas, how they put Kwanzaa with it now. Because before, how many years ago, nobody wasn't even talking about no Kwanzaa. But then when somebody stood up, it just takes one person to stand up, then everybody else will follow. But you have to be strong in that. And then things slowly change. And now look, they celebrate the Christmas, the Kwanzaa, and the Hanukkah. Everybody getting a piece of the action.
Yep.
True. It's becoming diverse. Yes. Like, you have to be diverse.
Exactly.
You have to accept all different type of,
exactly,
all different walks of life. That's what this, country is all about.
Yeah. And then I had the conversation with my brother and sister-in-law. It's one of the neighbors have Merry Christmas on the front of their lawn, all the way across. Merry Christmas. They were saying that some people were saying that, oh, that might be offensive. Maybe you need to put Happy Holidays
in their lawn.
on their front lawn with their Christmas decorations, right? They have all Christmas decorations, but across the whole entire lawn, he's got the words Merry Christmas.
Right.
And it's all lit up and everything. And he was saying that some people were saying like, oh, that might be offensive, that you should probably put Happy Holidays. And I said, well, maybe he celebrates Christmas. Because then if that's the case, then why don't we just put a sign out that says Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa. Just I'm going to put a sign out now that says Happy Valentine's Day.
Right. But
Happy St. Patrick's Day. You know what I'm saying?
Like, but explain to me, that's his. Okay, so he's paying. That's his. That's why I said that's his lawn. So I am paying taxes on my property. So you now are coming to say that my rights, because let's go back to the right. He has a right, right, to do that. So it's, I don't know. It's, yeah. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, but anyway, but the point is,
the man with his Merry Christmas. I take the Merry Christmas over the flag that says Trump for president. So let's leave the Merry Christmas right there, please. Thank you.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so I remember in hospitality a while back, they did that though. They were telling hospitality, like, we couldn't say Merry Christmas. Remember that? And they told us, I don't remember what year it was.
You might be right.
Yeah,
I think I heard something like that. You have to say Happy Holidays.
Yeah, and I was defiant. I was saying Merry Christmas. I'm like, y'all can find me if y'all want to, but y'all not gonna tell me what I can and cannot tell people. But like, I didn't offend people. Like some people that didn't sell, because you have to respect people. But the thing is, if somebody was telling me Merry Christmas, I wasn't saying Happy Holidays back to them. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think they're saying it to me, but I remember
you say what they say.
Yeah, but I remember that they passed that we couldn't say.
I remember that.
Merry Christmas in the hospitality industry. You had to say Happy Holidays.
But in the hotel in Greenbelt, they had before the transition, they had a menorah up there too. Did I say that right?
No. Yes, it is a menorah. You're right. Yeah,
they had that up there. But yeah, so getting back to what we was talking about, the history, we have to just continue to educate ourselves. We have to just read. We have to read. We can't take what somebody says necessarily for face value. And that's the beautiful thing about Google. Now you have no excuse.
Right.
You have no excuse. Somebody says something to you, you don't fully understand it, get them fingers, start punching in the keyboard.
And look at all different perspectives. Just because you read one book, like there could be another book that contradicts it. You know what I mean? Not everything is so black and white as they sometimes want you to like believe, okay, this is true, this is factual. Nothing is.
Again, with history, like the Middle East, I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like it has like a negative vibe to it, and they're all angry and whatever. And even when I went over to the UE, it was like you felt in the air, like you felt the love. Everybody was peace. The place was clean. Like everybody was so, you just felt it in the air. Like, what? Like, this is not what I expected.
Right.
Again, you have to do the research. You have to, read up on it.
It goes back to having conversation with people. Right. So if you didn't experience it, Lisa, you wouldn't know. But the thing is, like, if we just stick to our bubble and we don't have, you know what I'm saying, the conversation with people of different, culture, different things, you never, because I know people from, all over, and, they travel and you're like, oh, really? Like their life that they're living there, Dubai, like all over Ethiopia, all over. And you're thinking to yourself, like, wait a minute. Like there shouldn't, like for me, you're thinking like nobody should be living there because it's a war zone.
But it's not.
These people, like, especially working in hospitality, there were Caucasian folks that I remember would come to my hotel and, you ask people, oh, what do you do and stuff like that. And they're going overseas to build businesses.
Yep.
They're having lives. Like they only come to America to check on family, maybe for the holidays, but they rooted themselves and their families to over there. So my thing is, again,
and I can see it. I can see it. When I came back, I was like, yo, if something comes up, I'll transfer. I'll be out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I was
mean,
like, I could live here. I was like, I could live here.
yeah, you can make it. And like, yeah, I completely agree with the history, learning your own history. So one of
Yes.
the questions today in my homework assignment was, does history repeat itself?
Yeah, unfortunately, it does. I think it repeats itself. It might not be identical, but in some shape or form, it does repeat itself, unfortunately.
Why do you think that is?
Because people are not educating themselves. People are not, they're not learning from their mistakes.
Nobody's looking to break the cycle. In order for it to stop and for it to change, somebody has to be strong enough to break the cycle and go the opposite direction from where it has been going before. And a lot of people are just not enough that are strong enough to do that. If one person is doing it, it's a little bit of a challenge, it's like one person trying to go through a crowd of people going in one direction. You fighting through and people just, bumping you. After a while, you get weary. But if 10 or 12 people going in and we going in as a group now, that's a different story now because we getting through much faster because there's more of us. But it's about breaking that cycle. And it's definitely about breaking the cycle. Lisa?
I'll piggyback on that to give you another example. Breaking the cycle is how we can affect and change too is by buying Black, right? So everything we go to, I know I'm guilty of it. I'm quick to go to Amazon. It's just easy. I get my stuff here in 2 days or whatever. There's a platform. It's We Buy Black. And it's set up the same thing like Amazon. You go on there, there's something that you want. They have all these different vendors, but it's all Black vendors. So, I mean, I bought some laundry detergent from them. I need to use laundry detergent.
How was it?
So the laundry detergent is by a Black company. 2 men who started this, company. So I'm trying to make the conscious decision. Like when I get ready to go buy something real quick, I'm like, no, wait, that's what I got to break. The habit of it's so easy to go on Amazon, it's familiar, whatever, but no, I need to step back and go to Buy Black. I might not get it in 2 days, but I need to make the conscious change.
Right.
And I feel like that's where I can make a difference. I'm gonna hit you in the pocket.
Right.
I'm gonna hit you in the pocket. That's where I'm gonna make a difference.
That's a good point, though. I think what you're saying is a lot of people can relate to that. We pay for convenience, right? We pay for, like you just mentioned, I know it's going to get there in 2 days. That's why they've been successful. Like Amazon, eBay and all those places are successful because of the fact that they've been able to, we know what the consumer need. So we're going to deliver. So with us, and like I think like Terry said, if more people join, you know what I'm saying, in that fight, then eventually you will be able to get it there in 2 days. But more people have to join in, you know what I'm saying, in that fight for us to be able to get it to where we get it in 2 days. Because like you said, they are everything that we need. There is a Black owner that can produce it. You just, again, the convenience is not there yet until we start,
So it's called WeBuyBlack.com.
I'm looking at it right now.
And I mean, from kitchen bags, it's not called Glad, but this is a Black owned company.
It's called Happy.
Yo, I can't. Yo, what the fuck?
What?
They have clothes on here. They got makeup on here. They got hair products. They got hair wraps, beard kit, toothbrush, purses. Yeah. Everything. So that's like, we got to make the conscious decision. Like, okay, I need to go and do this. I need to. So ladies. Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, and people that are listening and following us, we really want you to think about how are you passing the baton. The question is, let me rephrase that. Have you gotten the baton? If you have gotten the baton, how are you passing it? What will you do to help elevate the next level? That's a thought that I want you to really think about it.
Yep.
So, ladies, this was some good cook up here. It was a good, nice cook up here.
Ping, 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 ping.
Exactly.
All right, ladies. Till next time.
Yes, and we are out.
Thank you for joining us this week on Unfiltered Lyman with BLT. Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and join our Facebook page. As always, subscribe to our show to catch every new episode. Leave us a review so we can continue to bring you fresh and exciting content. See you next Thursday, same time, same station. Unfiltered Lyman with BLT is edited and produced by Unfiltered Lyman with BLT.